Next, I have the pleasure of introducing the Educational Excellence Award to one of our teachers, Olivia Macaulay. Ms. Macaulay is a true jewel. If you are on campus at Glendale High School, my alma mater, you will notice the respect that Mrs. Macaulay has from her peers. You notice the connection that she easily has with her students, whether it is in her history class or the contemporary world affairs class, or it's the annual history day. And you notice the grace and care in which she carries herself, teaching our students each and every day. From being a Fulbright recipient and traveling to Jordan and Syria on archaeological studies, to traveling to the East Coast and studying with historian Eric Fauner, Ms. Macaulay's energy to keep learning and to teach shine through her students. The Board of Education had the pleasure of meeting the students who traveled with Ms. Macaulay to St. Petersburg, Russia a few years ago as part of the Junior G8 Summit. The unforgettable opportunity that our students had was due to Ms. Macaulay's energy for learning and for teaching. It is my great pleasure to introduce her and ask her to come up. Please help me welcome her. And this is the award for Teacher of the Year and for the Educational Excellence.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to say thank you. I am extremely honored to be here today and very humbled considering the company that I find myself in. I would like to tell you that my inspiration to be a teacher came from an experience that I had in school with a special teacher who perhaps had an impact on me. But that's not my story. I know I like school, but looking back, I'm not even sure why, because I remember school being kind of stressful for me, not only academically, but socially, emotionally as well. I think the things that have had the biggest impact on my teaching are some painful memories. I remember sitting in my 6th grade foreign language class, and I remember this as clearly as I remember where I was when Kennedy was shot. I remember what the wooden grain on my desk looked like, and I was so eager to learn a foreign language that in my eagerness, I interrupted another student. The teacher stopped the class and told me that I was rude. And I remember the tears starting to well up in my eyes and start to drop on my desk. And today I am just acutely aware that the power of the words that a teacher can wield on their students has the power to pierce their heart and cut them. And they're just little tender teenagers and awkward at times. So I never, ever want to hurt a student with my words, which can be easy to do. The other experience which informs my teaching comes from being a parent. I have 2 boys, one who was extremely successful in school and one who fell through the cracks. And my son, who disappeared off the radar of his teachers, probably sat in the back of the room, perhaps had his head down on occasion. And I can tell you that the pain a mother carries in her heart when she wants so much for her son to be successful is just tremendous. So whenever I see a student in my class at the back of the room disengaging with the lesson or disengaging with his peers, that pain comes back to me. And it is imperative to me that I never allow a student to fall off my radar or slip through the cracks. I believe they too have a mother who deeply cares about them. When I first came to Glendale about 11 or 12 years ago, I was so nervous about starting a new job in a new area with a new population of students. And so I would spend a lot of time in the teacher's lounge after hours by myself to sort of get a grip on what the space was and how it made me feel in my new environment. And I would peruse through the things that were on the bulletin board. And on this worn piece of paper, behind other things as well, it didn't particularly strike out, I found something that read, "Treat your most challenging students as if they are your angels who have been sent to you to teach you the lessons you still need to learn." That was my first impression of Glendale High School. And I have to tell you that that perspective really informed my teaching, because even today, I still follow this advice and still believe that my challenging students are truly gifts that make me better at what I do. I started out by saying that I was not particularly inspired by any teachers in my early education that I could remember. And that's important to say, because I'm sure I was impacted by teachers positively, but it's just not registering immediately. What I want to tell you is that my real inspiration for teaching comes from the teachers I work with. I am surrounded by teachers who can squeeze out of kids talents and feats that I never dreamed possible. I am constantly amazed at what our students do, from putting on this feast this morning, to the robotics program at Clark, to the instrumental programs, to the drama and choral programs and instrumental programs at my school, to the national winning drill team, to an ASB that does such a beautiful job creating a positive campus climate and building leadership. The academic rigor that I see in the math teachers, the English teachers, the science and social science teachers, doing with their students constantly challenges me to improve. You cannot be an honest teacher and settle for mediocrity at Glendale High. And I know that this is not just emblematic of Glendale High, but it is systemic in this district. I am able to empower my students because I work with an administration that empowers me, and with a district that supports my students and teacher development. We are so fortunate to have had the grants that have been bestowed on us through the hard work of individuals such as Nancy Witt, who has obtained millions of dollars to promote the teaching of American history. I have learned more by participating in this grant than I did in all my college education to become a teacher. And it doesn't stop at the school board, but this climate of support and empowerment is a product of this community, of all of you sitting here who have made the education in Glendale a personal priority. I want to add one more thing before closing. I think that in the age of data collection and performance metrics, we sometimes lose sight of what I believe really makes a good teacher, and that is the capacity to love. I know that sounds sort of, maybe the professional word would be passion. I believe that not only do we have to have a passion for what we teach, and make no mistake, there is nothing more important in building students who will participate and be productive of this 21st century world than the teaching of American history. But I think we need to love kids. I think we need to love humanity. I think we need to embrace hope. And when we love what we do as much as I do, we get to look forward to Mondays and angels. Thank you.
I'm going to do the check.